Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Stotara Sata Shri Śrīmad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudhi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Sri Vrindavan Dhama Ki Mayapur Navadip Dhama Ki Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Harinama Sankirtana Ki Yantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Nitago Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 6, Text 22 and 23. Now you're going to have to forgive me. Sanskrit is not very good in me, but this is a hell of a verse. So let's see how we go. Avyarajo nigri manimams tatjan ato. Avyarajo nigri jano chutta kati tatam jatram hayasya. Ritkeshava tvada ura isi inastu kantam. Vishnu bhajum mukham urukrama ishvarakam. Chakri agrata sahagado hari astu paschat. Tvat paras varyu danu asi mahu hayanascha. Koneshu sankhya urgaya upra upendras. Taksha kshicho haladhara purusha samantat. Avyadayo nigi mani mamstatvajanato. Jano Achyuta Katita Tam Jataram Hayasya. Hritkeshava Tvada Uru Isha Inastu Kvantam. Vishnu Bhujam Mukham Uru Krama Ishvarakam. Chakri Agrata Sahagado Hari Astu Paschat. Tvat Paras Vayu Adanur Asimadu Hayashacha. Koneshu Sankhya Urkaya Upara Upendras. Takshak Shito Haladhara Purusha Samantat. Avyada Jonri Galimam Yaltoyanta Totu. Jato Chatuta Katitam Chataram Katasya. Vitke Shabatadua Udai Shalabhutta Kantam. Vishnu Bhajam Kamatamuru Kama Ishvarakam. Rata Sadago Hari Astu Paschat. Tvad Parvayo Danurasi Madhupadayasya. Koneshu Sankhya Urugaya Uparupendras. Tatsvakisho Haladada Purusham Satamtat. Avyado Giri Mani Mastadva Bratoru. Jagno Achyuta Kaliti Tatam Jataram Hayasya. Krite Shakataru Ishesha Tukantam. Vishnu Bhajam Mukham Kuruturma Ishvarakam. Chakri Agrata Sahagado Hari Astu Apashat. Tad Palashvayo Danurasi Mahadu Ahashacha. Koneshu Sankhya Ulagaya Upera Upendras. Tadvaksho Haladala Purusha Samvat. Ladies. Avyada Jo Nigi Manas Tatvak Jo Atabo. Yano Achyuta Katitam Chataram Hayasya. Hite Shabatata Udrisha Nashtantam. Vishnu Bhajam Mukham Urutukama Ishvakakam. Kalita Gagas. Tvad Padas Vyayo Danura Sismahu Himdascha. Tishu Sankhya Urugaya Upala Upendras Tarsva Kisho Haladara Purusha Samanta Yapazo Tatulu Jato Mayasya Yoke Nusankhya Urugaya Upala Pendras Avyat may protect. Aja, Lord Aja. Agnir, legs. Maniman, Lord Manimam. Tattva, your. Janu, knees. Atta, therefore. Uru, thighs. Jagnya, Lord Jagna. Achuta, Lord Achuta. Katitatam, the upper part of the waist. Jataram, the abdomen. Hayasya, Lord Hayagriva. Rit, the heart. Keshava, Lord Keshava. Tvat, your. Ura, chest. Isha, the Supreme Controller. Lord Isha. Ina, Surya, the Sun God. Tu, but. Katam, the neck. Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Bhujam, arms. Mukham, the mouth. Urukrama, Lord Urukrama. Ishvaraha, Lord Ishvara. Kam, head. Chakri, the carrier of the disc. Agrata, in front. Sahagada, the carrier of the club. Hari, Lord Hari. Astu, may he remain. Paschat, on the back. Tvat parasvyayo, on both sides. Danu Asi, the carrier of the bow and the sword. Madhuha, the killer of the demon Madhu. Ajana, Lord Vishnu. Cha, and. Koneshu, in the corners. Sankha, the carrier of the conch shell. Urugaya, who is well worshipped. Upari, above. Upendra, Lord Upendra. Taksha, Garuda. Kaschito, on the surface. Haladara, Lord Haladar. Purushaha, the Supreme Person. Samantat, on all sides. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Sukadeva Goswami informed Maharaj Pariksit that the gopis, following the proper system, protected Krishna, their child, with this mantra: May Aja protect your legs, may Maniman protect your knees, Jnana your thighs, Achuta the upper part of your waist, Hayagriva your abdomen, may Keshava protect your heart, Isha your chest, the sun god your neck, Vishnu your arms, Ukrama your face, Ishvara your head, May Chakri protect you from the front. May Hare, Gadadhari, the carrier of the club, protect you from the back. And may the carrier of the bow, who is known as the enemy of Madhu, and Lord Ajana, the carrier of the sword, protect your two sides. May Lord Urugaya, the carrier of the conch shell, protect you from all corners. May Upendra protect you from above. May Garuda protect you on the ground. And may the Lord Halada, the Supreme Person, protect you on all sides. Hey boys, don't mess around in class, okay? Purport. Even in the houses of the cultivators, who were not very advanced in modern ways of civilization, the ladies used to know how to chant mantras to give protection to the children, with the help of cow dung and cow urine. This was a simple and practical way to give the greatest protection from the greatest dangers. People should know how to do this, for this is part of Vedic civilization. Om Jnana Timiranda Syagananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the class today, as is pointed out, is pretty well all about protection and prayers for protection. So, and these simple Vaishnavis, these people, these gopis living in Vrindavan, knew how to protect Lord Krishna. So what's the situation in the world today? Are we protected? The world is riddled with fear. We thrive on fear. So we live in the most technically advanced society ever on this planet. And yet, anxiety, depression, fear, loneliness, insecurity are everywhere, isn't it? Parents are frightened for their children. Society feels unstable. And despite of all our advancement, people still do not feel protected. In the news, if you ever watch the news, sometimes it's best to avoid the news altogether because all it is bad news. But being the communications officer, I have to find out what's going on in the world to keep abreast of what's happening. In the news, the recent news is that there is anxiety about house break-ins. Anybody live in Tarneet? You're lucky. There's always break-ins. You've heard this, that there's multiple break-ins everywhere. Gangs of youths with machetes barge into people's homes, steal their cars. They burn. At the moment, there's like a mafia-type arrangement happening throughout Victoria where shops are being burnt randomly. Shopkeepers are having to pay like a bribe to keep their houses and shops safe. So the government is doing what it can to protect the citizens of Victoria, but unfortunately it's not having much effect. They wanted to ban machetes, and generally speaking, all the people of good nature who had a machete in their farm or at their home, they gave them in. But the people that actually wanted to use them for vicious means kept them and used them as a weapon. So we've had meetings as being part of the Faith Community Council of Victoria, we've had meetings with the Premier and their government, trying to figure out ways to curb this violence and this constant fear that people are living in. They passed the law recently for both racial and social vilification. You know what that means? That if you have any anti-Semitic views or if you state anything that is against another religion or another race, whether it's the Islamic race, whether it's the Jewish race, or whether it's the Hindu race, although we're the lowest on the peg because Hindu people generally don't complain. And so they feel, okay, we can avoid doing anything. But the Hindus also are being vilified and also being racially slurred. in so many different ways. And so the government said, okay, we'll put in a prison term, that if anybody, and you should know this, if you're on a train or something and somebody says something disparaging against a Hindu person or a racial person, if they comment on the colour of your skin or the dress that you're wearing, maybe a sari, you can report that person to the police, and that person, if he's charged with this social cohesion bill that was passed, they can get 2.5 years jail. If they touch you or if they hurt you in any way or shape or form because of this also, they will get a 5-year prison term. So this is there in the law, but actually is it enacted in the law is another thing. We had a recent incident with a devotee couple living in Werribee where there was deliberate racial vilification against them. Not only them as devotees, but also, hey, boys, please control yourselves. Not only were they the ones who were attacked, but the whole street. There were other different people from the Hindu faith that were also living there, and there was disparaging remarks made to them. There was like a home program, Bhaktivedanta program there, and this one gentleman smashed the windows on the cars that were parked out the front of the devotee's house. If that wasn't enough, but the devotee was so meek and humble, they didn't say anything, didn't report it to the police or anything. So this person, this completely insane person, but a very racially intolerant person, thought, I can get away with this. So then what he did one morning when the husband had gone to work, there was a tree on the nature strip, a large tree, and he decided to set that on fire. And so this fire was burning, and if it would have gone any further, the branches would have hit the tree, hit the guttering of the house. The wife was there and the daughter were in the house, but luckily, by Krishna's arrangement, a policeman who was off work saw the fire, called the fire brigade, and put the fire out. Now, the devotee couple finally actually said, okay, we better call the police. So the police came, they took the guy away, this person, they said it was this fellow over the road, he did it, he's always vilifying us and criticising us and everything. And so they took him away. Came back at 4:30 and there was a restraining order put on him. So they didn't follow through with this legislation. They just said, oh well, it's the Hindu community, they won't mind too much. We'll put a restraining order on him. He can't be within 5 metres of the property. So this person lives over the road from them. And so the devotee couple were terrified. What is this guy going to do next? And they're living in this constant state of fear. They know, they trust Krishna, and Krishna is always protecting devotees, you know that. But still, there is anxiety. And so they've asked me to sort of look into it, and with my connections with government and everything, and hopefully the police department, they'll do something more than just put a restraining order on them, on this fellow. Because what he was doing, as the husband went to work early in the morning, he would be on the other side of the road and do provocative sort of things to frighten the Mataji that was living inside and her daughter. So they're living in fear. So this is the state that we're living in. They know and we know that Lord Krishna will protect us. But what to do, So we're taking action. The other neighbours, there's another couple of other neighbours, we've taken statements. Luckily they've got him burning the tree on video cam, and also, there's photos of the cars that were hammered in, the windows were hammered in. So we have to be very mindful that this is the society that we're living in at this point of time. Now this section of the Bhagavatam asks the timeless question, what actually gives protection? No matter what the government may do, and we can, to the best of her ability, I guess, Jacinta Allen, as the Premier, is doing the best she can, but she can't be everywhere. And there is this predominant rise of fear and anxiety in society. There's no two ways about it. We have the sloka in the 18th canto, in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharma Parijagya Mama Kamsa Nambrajam Aham Tvam Sava Papabhyo Moksa Ishaminasichaha. So Krishna says there, look, all you have to do is just surrender to me completely. Don't worry about different dharmas, different religions or anything. Just surrender to me. I will protect you. Have no fear. Don't do the fear trip. So the message of this sloka today, this section of the Bhagavatam today, is to not have any fear, to really trust Krishna. And the golden rule, everybody knows what the golden rule in Krishna consciousness is? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So this is what we'd have to do. So if we see this situation with Putana, Putana was the first demon to attack Krishna. Now she is the most abominable demon. She is horrific. She's a child killer. Her whole thing was to kill children. Kamsa had sent her to kill children, innocent little babies. And so here she was, she had this task, I've got to kill Krishna. So amazingly enough, as it was mentioned in previous classes, she took the form of the most beautiful woman. And the innocentness of the Vrindavan gopis, they just completely were infatuated by this beautiful, transcendent sort of person that has come to look at Krishna. And they gave this woman all access to their little baby. I mean, that's something that we just wouldn't do in today's society because of the anxiety and thing. But they did. Mother Yashoda was wholeheartedly giving this little baby Krishna to her. And in the most intimate way, this little child hopped on Putana's lap. But then to her demise, she completely came undone and Krishna destroyed her. And her true manifestation of this huge Rakshasa came out. We have no concept of how ugly and how demoniac this personality Putana was. We may have movies that depict monsters and all this kind of stuff, but Putana was the most ugly, gross witch you could ever imagine. From this beautiful figure that everybody adored and said, oh, please come into my house. Oh, please take my baby. To turn into this grotesque, ugly witch. And Krishna killed her. So then, as it was explained in class also, they had to get rid of her body, and they didn't know how the heck are we going to get rid of this huge body. But Mother Yashoda was so obliging, so wonderfully sweet. The village women also. So after it was all done, they prayed, and these are the prayers that they prayed for little Krishna. May all the gods, all the demigods, may everyone protect you, little baby Krishna. And this is the mother's fear and affection. You always want the best for your children, isn't it? You always want to protect them. Even when they grow to be ugly big boys and girls, maybe not ugly girls, but ugly big boys, you still feel you need to protect them. So the gopis were not philosophers. They didn't live in some high academic sphere or anything like that. They were simple women from a village in Vrindavan who had love, devotion, concern, and above all, faith. They had faith that Lord Vishnu would protect them. When we study traditions, other spiritual traditions, other cultures, whether Vedic culture, Christian culture, Islamic culture, Buddhist culture, or others, we often find the common principle. And this is what I want to reiterate. Being very much involved in interfaith, this is what I want to emphasize. Ordinary life becomes spiritualized through remembrance of God. Ordinary life becomes spiritualized when you remember God. For example, anybody know what special day in the Islamic calendar was this week? Eid Mubarak, right? So the end of Ramadan, which our Muslim brothers and sisters have just celebrated. And the focus is on prayer, gratitude, purification, charity, family, and most importantly, remembrance of God. They may not have a concept or an understanding completely of the personality of Godhead. They see that God is some huge personality, but we're so tiny we can't even conceive of him. We're so fortunate in Krishna consciousness, where Krishna explains exactly who he is. And this pastime of Krishna with Putana really emphasizes the fact how this cuddly little baby boy was sucking on the breast of this witch and completely destroyed her. This is our Krishna. So we know who God is. Similarly, in the Bhagavatam, the verses we see the gopis surrounded their daily family life with sacred consciousness and pray for protection. Every part of their day was always in this prayerful mood of Krishna, serving Vishnu. Now, modern secular society increasingly revolves the sacredness from daily life. There is no sacredness in daily life. But traditional spiritual cultures understood that eating, parenting, community, charity, prayer, and even protection of children could be and should be connected to God. Every part of your life should be connected to God. Whether we work in an office, whether we work at home and we cook meals, whether we go to school, whether we're studying, everything should be connected to God. I am doing this for God. There used to be a prayer in the Catholic tradition, which was AMDG. If you were at school, in primary school, the first thing you had to write on the top of your page was AMDG, all my work done for God. You remember that? Did you ever have that? No. All my work done for God. And this is the consciousness that we should imbibe. This is the consciousness, this is Krishna consciousness. So, in the class that Prabhu gave recently, very nice class, he was mentioning how cow dung is so important in Vedic culture, cow urine is so important in Vedic culture, the rituals are so important in Vedic culture. But the essence that he was making was that God consciousness is the most important thing, because God consciousness protects us. And the gopis of Vrindavan, they lived in this pure God consciousness, always thinking. And with that comes simplicity. You just live a very simple life. You have a sacred relationship with nature, as what Prabhu was pointing out, using the cow dung and for fire, using the medicine of urine, cow urine, and so on and so forth. So that's that sacred relationship with nature, understanding these are gifts that Krishna has given us. And they had constant remembrance of Vishnu. And again, that was pointed out in his class. So the entire life of this village in Vrindavan was spiritualized. It was just spiritual life. So modern civilization seeks protection externally. Jacinta Allen is, maybe if we do that, that'll fix this. If the government thinks, maybe we can do that, that it's external. And they do that through technology, through insurance. Protect that when you get old. This is your funeral plan. You can pay so much money and you'll be looked after very nicely in your grave. Or insurance, that you'll have something for your retirement. Put money aside so you can put it into your super fund. And then when you're old and frail, you can use this money. For what? Maybe to pay all the hospital bills, because the bills of the hospital are so exorbitant. So, they think through technology, through insurance, through medicine. We have the latest medicines, we have the vaccines and so on and so forth. This will protect you from the virus. If we just take this, it's a pandemic. You have to take this virus. We're forcing you to take this virus. Takes this vaccine. And in fact, the vaccine probably is one of the main causes of the virus or the illness. So they tell you that, and then they think, okay, look, if we Another external means is if we do surveillance. You know, if we put security cameras everywhere, then we can see exactly when a person is being mischievous and we can arrest them. So everyone, and if we know your identity and everyone's identity, then we can straight away pick if you've got criminal intent. So there's surveillance and control. By all these means we can control you. So this is modern civilization. Under the guise of, we're doing these things to protect you. So Vedic civilization also valued practical protection. You had the Kshatriyas. They protected the citizens. There was cow protection, there was animal protection. But they understood that the deepest protection comes from the harmony with the divine consciousness, with God. So modern society is overwhelmed with external and undeveloped, overdeveloped externally and underdeveloped internally. So they don't know where to go. I'll repeat that. Modern society is overdeveloped externally with all these different measures, but underdeveloped internally. So we have wonderful things which we couldn't be without anymore. Smartphones. Who in this room hasn't got a smartphone? Right, the kids. Don't get them, they're hopeless. But I bet you would like one. So, smartphones. Okay, who at the moment has enjoyed the use of AI? Yeah, honestly, it's amazing. It can really lead you down a path that you thought, wow, so much at my fingertips. Pharmaceuticals. Who is taking medicines that will enhance their bodily appearance or their health? All of us do, some way or another. And security systems. Who has security systems in their homes? Who has double locks on their doors and everything? It's a society full of protection. And yet, with all these security things in place, the rise of mental illness has increased exponentially. People are suffering more and more. Now, these are some statistics from the World Health Organization, the WHO. Nearly 1 billion people globally were living with mental disorder in 2019. 1 billion people in 2019. What to speak of 2025 and 26? 1 billion living with mental disorder. That means they're not completely functioning properly mentally. Anxiety and depression is now amongst the most common illnesses in the world. You know, we have heart attacks, we have cancers and so on, but mental illness and depression is more prominent than even those illnesses. In 2021, approximately 359 million people suffered from anxiety disorder globally. This is the society we're living in. And loneliness increases. This is the latest statistic here in Australia, 1 in 3 Australians report significant feelings of loneliness. 1 in 3 within the population of Australia considers themselves lonely. I'm lonely. And even though you've got all the whiz-bang equipment, you know, you've got Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and you can keep in touch, but still people feel lonely. So that loneliness is associated with this depression and with anxiety. I feel anxious. Dementia, you know, loneliness, I'm just by myself, there's nothing stimulating the brain. Chronic disease and premature death. So this loneliness is a big thing. There was a US survey found that half of adults report experiencing loneliness. Who in this room, as devotees, experience loneliness? Be honest. Yeah. 1 lady is honest, 2 ladies are honest. Honest, exactly. Loneliness also permeates within Krishna consciousness. This is a point I wanted to make actually. It's outside of what the shloka is about, but Krishna consciousness communities sometimes develop a real, lasting and deep friendship. That's a fact. But devotees, like all humans, feel a need for friendship, not just as a superficial thing, but a real connection. And you have to somehow or other, it's one of the tenets of Krishna consciousness, is that you have to reveal your mind to someone that you trust. Who do you have that you can honestly say, I can tell them anything? Please raise your hand. Well, your mum. Fantastic. Okay, that's the point. Yeah? Do you have? Okay, you've had a fall down. Would you go to that person and talk to them? You could honestly say that? That's fantastic. You know what? You have a treasure. You have an absolute treasure. If you can find someone that you can relate to, that you can open your heart to, that is the panacea, actually. That is...
Kids are outside, so making noisy. Can you tell the parents?
The what?
Kids are making so noisy outside.
Outside. The kids are making noise outside, and you know how we've got problems with the neighbours. If you have parents, if you have children outside, could the parents please control your kids? Could you go and check in? Or if one lady can just go and check, or one man can go and check and just keep them in check. We have to keep them in check with the neighbours. We're still in a process going to council. So it is our duty to actually reach out and develop real solid friendships within Krishna consciousness. And if you haven't, you should look for it somehow or another, because loneliness will end up even with devotees. And this is very important in our Krishna consciousness. So really search out someone that you can relate to. You know, as devotees, we've got our work to do, we've got our sadhana to do, we've got our service to do, you know, going and making things and everything. For the ladies, they've got their household to look after. For the men, they have to also, you know, work. And so you have work colleagues and stuff. But you have to somehow develop real friendship apart from that. Have someone, and sometimes it may mean going on a social, you know, go for a walk in the park with someone. Go to Radhe-Chai's, or no, not anymore, to Stana's kitchen and say, can I meet you at Stana's kitchen? I just want to be with you for an hour or so this week. Can we meet up? If you have a friend, you should do this. We neglect this so often. If you have a friend, ring them up. How are you today? How's your health? Talk to them. You know, do you feel like going for a walk down the beach the next couple of days, or anything? A walk in the park, something, some social activity. It is essential that we do that. But we have to reach out ourselves. We have to actually really make a point to develop friendships. Don't expect that someone is going to all of a sudden say, I'd like you to be my best friend. You know? You have to make the effort yourself also and really develop friendships. So in society, in today's society, we also have this point of addiction. Addiction, again, is one of these things that's causing so much insecurity, so much fear, so much anxiety. We have social media addiction. Who's addicted to their mobile phone? The girls put their hands up over there. Who's addicted? Yeah, it's something, isn't it? It's like you can't control it. It's like, oh, I've got a spare minute, let's just have a look what's happening on Facebook. Isn't it? And it's captivating. And it's frightening, actually, that you never thought that you would have addiction. When somebody told you, oh, you know, you've got to avoid drugs because you'll be addicted, you said, yes, I'll avoid drugs. You've got to avoid alcohol because you could become an alcoholic. Yes, I'll avoid alcohol. But this simple little phone thing, how could you be, this can't be addictive. But it is. It gets you in. So we have to control that as well. Pornography, same thing. It's an addiction. People are suffering this, even within our devotee community. There was a wonderful podcast with Nam Rasa, and this devotee is treating people that have this addiction, men in particular. Really fascinating. If you can find this podcast, Within Krishna Consciousness, how to control this, being honest about it, opening up, presenting it to your best friend, the difficulties that you have. Gambling. Although we don't have that much problem with gambling, who's taking a Tats Lotto ticket or a scratchy nowadays? I thought about it actually some time ago. I really did. I had a dream, and these numbers came up in my dream. And I thought, wow. And the Tats Lotto was $50 million or something like that, and I thought, I'm not going to do it. That'd be gambling. I rang up my brother. I said, hey, listen, Tony, I had a dream. We're going to win Tats Lotto. These are the numbers. And so I gave him the numbers. Yes, Bert, I'll do that for you, no problem. Not one number. Krishna was just playing a trick on me. So we don't gamble. Substance abuse. The only substance abuse that devotees do is too many gulab jamans. Too many sweets. And even that we have to check in balance, because this can also lead to difficulties in later life. Believe me. I've run three restaurants, and you wouldn't believe it. People come to our house and they see a picture of us before we started running the restaurants, and they go, oh, Bhakta Prabhu, you're so skinny. I said, that's what happens when you run a restaurant, you know. So, yeah, substance abuse. So these are different things, major modern psychological issues, you know. And research has shown that heavy social media use, so if you are addicted to your mobile phone, heavy social media abuse is again associated with anxiety, depression, loneliness, self-harm, and really, really scary is suicidal thoughts. And we're seeing now the rise within young people committing suicide. So sad. They don't see any use. I've been vilified and harassed and bullied on my mobile phone. I don't feel any worth in myself. I may as well end my life. And this is the greatest disaster. So the gopis had almost none of our technology. They had nothing like this, and yet they possessed a wonderful community. They were simple in their living. They had a sacred purpose, you know, with the cow protection. They had spiritual remembrance, always thinking of Vishnu and thinking of Krishna. And they had emotional depth. They loved Krishna so much. So that's the real point. Modern people may laugh, you know, when Prabhu was giving this talk about cow dung and cow urine and everything. If you mention this to people, they say, you what? You know? But actually it's true, you know. Yet modern science, as he was pointing out, is increasingly specifying how potent these natural remedies and items are. And they're finally coming around to understanding. Similarly, they also are now finding out how meditation and going into a state of deep relaxation is so beneficial for an individual, to reduce anxiety, to reduce those awkward things that are happening in our life. And so this is the beauty of chanting Hare Krishna. We've been given this wonderful mantra to counteract these things. Even beyond physical details, Srila Prabhupada's main point in this purport was that sacred culture once permeated ordinary life. So the ordinary, simple individual was permeated with spiritual life. And this is what we're trying to achieve in Krishna consciousness. But in the same token, modern science now, they view spiritualism in a minimal sense. I'll do the minimal amount of spiritual activities in my daily activities or in my weekly activities. Okay, for my spiritual activities, I'll do some yoga asanas once a week. Yes, I'll go and do Surya Namaskar, and I'll do some other things, and I'll chant Om for a half an hour or something. Or at best, they go to a church on Sunday, You know, yes, we all get dressed up, go to church, and then for the rest of the week there's nothing. And occasionally some people may meditate, and they think that this is it. But Vedic culture spiritualizes everything. Everything. Parenting is spiritualized. Your cooking is spiritualized. You're cooking for Krishna. Farming is spiritualized. You farm the crops so you can offer the food to Krishna. You give protection to animals, even the lowliest of animal, seeing that how God has created this wonderful creature. You know, like sometimes we're in our home and we see a spider and we say, oh, a spider in the house. You know, how quick can you get rid of the spider? But the spider is an amazing creature, created by God. No scientist can ever create a spider or an ant. It is just beyond conception. We've got AI and robots and everything that sort of work like this, you know. But an ant and a spider is just the most incredible creation. And so a devotee gives protection even to a spider or an ant or a bird or anything, a worm, everything. In Vedic culture we have medicines. Food is medicine. If we simply eat right, you'll have the proper nutrition and you'll have no illnesses. You have community, living with one another and associating. And in speech, our speech is also only thinking of Krishna. So everything is connected to God. Everything is connected to the Supreme. So today we sanitize everything physically, but our consciousness is constantly contaminated through the media, through violence, through greed, pornography, consumerism, as I mentioned before. The Bhagavatam teaches purification not only of the body but of our consciousness. And this real protection ultimately comes from spiritual connectedness. Spiritual connectedness. The gopis protected Krishna with mantras because they loved him and their whole lives were revolved around him. Everything was for Krishna. Everything. So the Bhagavatam gently reminds us that the true protection begins when consciousness reconnects with the Supreme Lord. So this is the whole basis of Krishna consciousness, that we connect with the Supreme Lord again. Krishna wants us to come home to him. That little baby Krishna that everybody in Vrindavan was infatuated with wants you to come back home to him as well. So whether we look at the village life of Vrindavan and or say, for example, with our Muslim friends, the practice of Eid, or other sacred traditions, the deeper teachings are all similar. And this is what I've found in my interfaith work. The deepest understanding is very similar. Human beings flourish when life is centered not only on consumption and technology, but on remembrance of God, Lord Sri Krishna. The holy names of the Lord give us protection. When we chant Hare Krishna, we're setting up a protective bubble around us. Krishna protects us. Now sometimes, you know, I've mentioned other things within my interfaith work, and one of the things I want to mention, I've mentioned it before, but it's very appropriate in one sense. The early Christians were persecuted and martyred under the persecution of Christians in the Roman Empire. Does everybody know that? Right. The early Christians, the followers of Jesus, were severely persecuted by the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was basically a pagan ruling class. And the Christians were very much in line with basic Bhakti Yoga teachings. So historical accounts describe that the believers of Christianity were crucified. That means they were nailed on crosses. They were burnt alive, they were thrown to wild animals, or executed in public arenas. Anybody been to Rome and seen the Colosseum? Yeah? So that you know about Rome, they have these big epicenters, right? Like the MCG, but then, and the sports they used to have there were races with chariots, but one of the biggest attractions was how they could kill the Christians. And so they did this and sent them to wild animals. So what shocked the Roman society, and this is historically recorded, what shocked the Roman society was not merely their willingness, the Christians, their willingness to die. Oh, you want to kill me? It's okay. But their serenity, conviction, forgiveness, and spiritual joy, many of them displayed when facing horrific suffering, while they were calling out to God. So God was protecting them even in this most calamitous time. Roman spectators often expected terror and humiliation. This was the whole thing. This cruel society actually wanted to see these young men and women who were followers of Christianity, followers of Jesus. They wanted to see them squirm, run from the animals, be frightened, scream. This was their thrill. Instead of, like us, if you want to go to a horror movie, to get your thrills, that's what people do, And so these people wanted to see it in action. So what happened was they expected terror and humiliation, and yet instead of that, they witnessed faith, prayer, dignity, and even compassion to the people that were punished or persecuting them. The martyrs demonstrated that spiritual conviction, calling on God through their traditional prayer, and Prabhupada said any name of God is suitable if you call on any name of God. So through their tradition, they could transcend bodily fear. They could transcend bodily fear. There are many, many spiritual stories in all different traditions, even up to this present day, where people could transcend bodily fear by being connected to God, by remembering God. So what happened was, eventually the Roman Empire became a Christian empire because of this. Because many of the cases, their fearlessness and their dedication to God consciousness actually inspired conversion. So the Roman leaders thought, why is it that these people aren't afraid of dying? Do they know something more than what we do? If they did this to us, we'd be totally devastated. And they thought, they must have something more than we know. And they became converted. So much so that the emperor became a Christian. And then he made it that the whole of his kingdom became Christian. So this was because of their conversion. They had this opportunity, their faith. So because people sensed that they possessed a reality greater than the temporary physical existence. So we know that. There's strong parallels with the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains, for the soul there is never birth nor death, nor having once been do you ever cease to exist. So people deeply fixed in their spiritual consciousness gradually became be able to control their fear. So, because they identified with soul as opposed to this physical body. So when in Christian martyrdom, or in advanced yogis, or in great saints like Haridas Thakur, or pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, sometimes we see glimpses of that remarkable transformation. In modern society, it's often governed by fear. Fear of death, fear of loss, fear of aging, fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. Yet fear sells magazines, newspapers, radio articles, and so on and so forth. But genuine spiritual realization has historically given people extraordinary courage, because they no longer see themselves as temporary material bodies. Srila Prabhupada, on the order of Krishna, came to save the whole world from this fear. This is Prabhupada's mission. Fearlessly, Abhay, fearlessly he travelled over the waters at an old age. I couldn't even conceive of what he went through, being in an elderly body, understanding the turmoil that he went through. To actually go to the most despicable place in America, the Bowery, the Lower East Side, was just like a slum, and place himself in this position to preach Krishna consciousness and to eradicate fear for those people who follow him. This is the most amazing thing. And Prabhupada was fearless. by giving freely to everyone the power of the holy name, how the holy name will save us. Now, in this uncertain time, as I've mentioned, that there is so much fear throughout our society, we are now ambassadors of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And we should distribute Krishna consciousness to the best of our abilities, to the broader world, because Prabhupada was the savior of not only this planet, but they made a point of saying that Prabhupada was also the savior of this universe. There are other living entities on the other universes, and they will eventually come to know also about Krishna consciousness. I came up with this great idea the other day. I woke up and I thought, I've got to write this book for kids. Maybe somebody else will take it up. And I thought, because it dawned on me, Prabhupada is the savior of the whole universe. And I'm thinking, with UFOs and all that kind of stuff and aliens and everything, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful if a devotee boy came across a flying saucer and an alien came out of the flying saucer, and this young boy, Krishna conscious young boy, started to preach to the alien, who was just so advanced technologically, but really had no idea that he was not this body and that God was real and we should serve God. So this little boy has an interaction with the UFO, the alien. And I thought, and then he takes this knowledge to his planet, and anyway, that was a thought. Whether it manifests itself, we'll see. So, but our job is to preach this Krishna consciousness to the broader community and also to our immediate world. So, the Bhagavatam reminds us, without spiritual grounding, external advancement, external advancement alone cannot bring peace. Real protection ultimately comes from purified consciousness, and that's the process of devotional service, our sadhana, meaningful relationships that we were talking about, that we actually develop really strong devotee association and friendships, sacred remembrances, that we make a point of reading about the pastimes of Krishna, chanting his glories, serving Krishna. And one interesting thing also is, and it will come up in purports in subsequent verses, is how it's something that we forget to do. We put tilak on because we put tilak on, right? To identify, oh, he's a Hare Krishna, put tilak on, right? But actually, Prabhupada, in a purport coming up very soon, mentions that how tilak protects us. When we apply tilak to our body is like it's got a safety valve or a safety barrier around us from negativities. So that's another thing. So connection with the Supreme Lord must be present in us in all circumstances, to bring peace and to eradicate fear. So I thank you, and I wonder if anybody has any comments or questions at all. Yeah, Prabhu. Hare Bol. Have we got a microphone, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Thank you.
Prabhu, you were talking about violence and hatred. And as devotees, we understand that a devotee is compassionate towards all living entities. So, Prabhu, as a devotee, how can we balance tolerance and courage? What I mean is, can we justify hatred spiritually, or?
Jesus used to say, hate the sinner, not the sinner. So we hate the negativity, we hate these different things that are bringing people away from Krishna, but we don't hate the person that's executing those things. We have to really, really meditate on an individual being a spirit soul. And sometimes it's really hard to do, but that's what you have to do. And that's how you develop tolerance. You can just, channel that, being really, really understanding that this person is being influenced in some negative way, and I can see that's not really him or her. She's really And we all are spirit souls, and we're all linked to Krishna, and Krishna loves each and every one of us equally. So, that's what you have to keep remembering. And so it's, hate the sin, but love the sinner. Does that make sense? Yeah, Bhakti.
So in that regard also we may then think that, okay, if I hate the sinner, not the sinner, why should I report them to the police? Right? But we need to also think that, okay, if this person is willing to perform an aggression on me, he can also do that to somebody else. Yes. He or she can also do that to somebody else. So you're not just doing it for your own safety, you're also doing it for others.
Yeah, thanks, Bhakti. There's another comment.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, we talked about always remembering Krishna, never forget Krishna. But I feel that when I'm here at the temple or with devotee friends, or I feel very much connected to Krishna, but then sometimes I'm at work or outside and then I suddenly thought, oh, what happened? Like, why I'm not? So how do we do that when we are at work or so that we don't forget Krishna? And
hey, join the club. We all have that, but in the same token, we can exercise ourselves. You know how, if you want to become fit, what do? You do exercise, correct? So in the same way, you do spiritual exercise. You exercise every day. You read every day, you chant every day, and your consciousness, you become fit, spiritually fit. And when you're spiritually fit, then the opportunity to actually move away from Krishna consciousness or to not be completely thinking, it becomes less and less. So the more you practice it, all of a sudden what you start to find, if you actually follow the process that's laid out by Srila Prabhupada and through the Acharyas, what happens is that you start to automatically chant Hare Krishna. You could be in any sort of situation, and you may be at work, you've done your work, and you've got 5 minutes off or something, and you go for a walk in the park or just outside, or you're just going to the lavatory or something, all of a sudden you go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and it becomes automatic. You haven't even thought about it. But it's like, for the Westerners, for a person, not for a Westerner, for a person in material consciousness, they will sing the song that they remembered on the radio or on their podcast or on Spotify or whatever, right? And they'll start singing that. But because you've exercised yourself to always think of Krishna, what automatically happens is that you start to think. Similarly, if, say, for example, and this is where you lose addiction, you're on Facebook, nothing wrong with Facebook. But instead of, you're scrolling through and you see some mundane thing, I'm not interested in that. And you go to a lecture or something that's happened in some part of the world where Krishna consciousness is taking off, or you see a Harinam party, and you stay with that. But it's only through exercise, by following your sadhana very strictly, and reading Prabhupada's books regularly and associating with devotees coming to the temple, that becomes automatic. You automatically say, no, I'm not interested in it. It may be that you pick up the phone and then you think, oh, she's a pretty girl, right? And but your mind and Krishna from within will go, flick to the next thing. And there's Prabhu and the Harinam in the city, and you go, look how ecstatic these guys are, and then but that comes from training. If you don't do the exercise, you're more vulnerable to that weakness. Exercise is the thing. Spiritual exercise. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
No worries, Prabhu. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. You shared wonderful insights from an interfaith perspective as well. When you spoke about preaching to aliens, where I thought you were going with that was like, how they send out devices in the universe and they talk in various languages and that. wouldn't it be wonderful if a devotee actually sends something which chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and that goes through the universe?
You know, when you chant in the morning, guess what happens? It's going out to the universe. It doesn't stop in the confines of the space that you're in.
True.
Prabhupada points this out. That vibration, that spiritual vibration, as purely as you can do, and the purity is the thing, actually permeates the walls of this building, permeates the environment around, the immediate environment, and permeates the sky to the universe. It doesn't stop. It is not like, oh, there's a limit to the sound vibration. When you say, Hare Krishna, Prabhupada mentions that. And he says even if 1% of the population sincerely chants Hare Krishna in a community, the crime rate will go down. And that's been scientifically proven, statistically proven. So when we're talking to Jacinta Allen and the parliamentary people and stuff, there are so many times that we've said, actually, the process for real mitigation of fear and anxiety is to encourage the people of your community, of your state, to actually be more introspective and call on the holy name of God. And Prabhupada was emphatic that the best means is obviously chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we're very fortunate to be able to have been given that. But other people in other faith traditions, if they call on the holy name of God, either in Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, Abba, or Jesus Christ, they will attain maybe not the same potency, but they will also connect with God. So if the government actually set up a process by which scientifically it proved that this will help you and encourage people to meditate and call on the names of God, your society will become like Vrindavan, like the gopis experienced, always thinking of Krishna. And that's Prabhupada's vision. And Prabhupada knows that that's what's going to happen. We have a 10,000 bubble in this Kali Yuga. You know that? Bhaktivedanta emphasizes we're 500 years in that bubble. And in that bubble becomes Satya Yuga. You know what Satya Yuga is? How wonderful that is. If your great-grandchildren will be experiencing a Satya Yuga because of what you're doing today and what the devotees are doing today. That's the potency of Krishna consciousness. It's not bound to this room. It's not bound to this temple. It's not bound to this country. It's universal. And you know, there are so many doom and gloom people around the place. Oh, they're going to drop an atomic bomb. Oh, there's wars over here. And yes, that's true. But a devotee is not influenced with that at all. All they want is, let's keep on pushing. If we don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. You know, we may not want to do it anymore or whatever, or even the society, but if we maintain it, then the Satya Yuga is going to happen. And that's the power of the holy name. And the holy name will give protection to all the citizens, that they fear nothing. There's no more big demoniac demons that will harass us. There are demons all over this planet. If we're talking about demons that kill children, why don't we talk about abortion? What a demoniac thing that is, isn't it? That's happening in every country around the world where they're killing innocent children. That's what we have to, and that will be eradicated. Those demoniac tendencies will all go. That's our mission, and that's what Prabhupada came to save this world and save this universe. Your job is to do that, be an ambassador.
So Prabhu, can you share what was the government's reaction when you shared this with them?
Very nice, Bhakta, thank you. What can you do? They know what I stand for, and they respect that, and that's a start. You have other people, like say for example, the former Premier of Victoria, Ted Baillieu, very supportive and understanding of the spiritual science of the holy name. And so you have people, another person, he's still a parliamentarian, who came here to the temple, Matthew Guy, right? Matthew Guy took me confidentially, he said, you know, when I'm in my office sometimes I see the Harinam party in the streets of Melbourne, and he said, I would love to join and just chant Hare Krishna with you guys. And I'm always looking for that tall boy, that tall man, and if he's there, I'll come. So I haven't been going because I've got a bit of problem with my legs and stuff, but so there are people. If we're friendly, if we associate, and if we speak in terms that is not dogmatic and not sectarian, that Krishna consciousness is the only way, it's the best way, but it's not the only way. And so we have to encourage people, you know. Like if you have Muslim friends living close by, wish them happy Eid Mubarak. If you've got Christian people living next to you or something, happy Easter, you know. Be giving. That's the role of a Hare Krishna devotee. Does that make sense? Jai. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Vyantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Oh, baby. Hare Krishna.
Aniyasa Sakalen Priya Vriti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanshan Shri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathantam Svam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanikanstam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,